everyone, Sonic and 6 here, back with the guys. You guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hey there, it's Avonlight.
What's going on? It's Wilder.
And we are here with a little podcast for you today. Today we're going to be discussing a few different things, but let's get started with our first topic of the day, and that is the state of YouTube comedy and commentary in today's online environment, because we all feel like it's kind of hard to be able to really truly express yourself with YouTube, and also just comedy with the PC culture going on, and just generally how ads are being denied from major YouTubers, that kind of deal. So, anything you'd like to add first and foremost?
I think the words adpocalypse have met every single person's ears at some point, which have kind of been the tipping point, I guess, of all this just kind of downhill slope to the point that we are at now, where a lot of people just kind of get demonetized without really knowing why they are getting demonetized, and a lot of stuff that people feel shouldn't be monetized is remaining monetized, and just kind of yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of things, they're not giving very solid reasoning as to why the demonetization is happening. And it more than that, it's kind of disturbing to see that we're having this happen from an algorithm that isn't really taking into consideration the context of the videos that they're even demonetizing, which is really unfortunate. And it also doesn't help that YouTube itself doesn't have a very good rating system for content creators to actually properly rate their videos, other than to say that, oh, this is for mature audiences, which would just basically say, well, you're demonetized now.
Yeah,
So
if you
good luck
age
with that.
restrict a video, good luck.
Yeah, it makes it almost impossible to really make even more, I guess, on edge content. And even like, let's say you want to touch on something political, even nowadays it's it'll still for that reason get demonetized if your view is not directly with what's here and now, I guess,
Well,
what's the
yeah,
popular view.
Steven Crowder, for example. Louder with Crowder talks all the time about it. Like, he has to have Mug Club going on because there's no other. He can't get a single video monetized no matter what.
And I guess that's kind of unfortunate, because when you think about it, it's not, well, I'll admit, I don't always agree with some of the things that he says. I don't feel as though he deserves to not be able to receive any ad revenue just because I don't agree with him. It's more like, if he has a content and it's with sharing his views and his opinions, as long as it's not arbitrarily hateful or doing something to demean someone, I don't see why there's a problem with him having any revenue flow from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of things with gaming channels about monetization. It's just if they're playing a game, a lot of times YouTube will just flat out demonetize it. So it's killed a lot of the Let's Play communities.
Not to mention the fact that copyright strikes can be thrown around willy nilly at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because we have a whole bunch of new creators coming into the scene and they're not really able to get off the ground. Obviously, I can't say anything for ourselves as we're relatively new, other than the fact of, well, it is hard, but I've seen a lot of smaller channels, let's say sub 100,000, maybe sub 10,000, that are making really solid content, but it's not really getting the traction it deserves due to the fact of the algorithm saying, well, you're using this type of language and that's not okay, even though it's really not that bad.
You said
It's
heck
not
one too many times, bucko.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense as to why you would want to censor that, yet we're allowed to have people like Anita Sarkeesian, who are very much have this sort of unforgiving rhetoric, where I'm not saying that they shouldn't be heard as well, because I think that they deserve to be heard as well. They don't deserve to be demonetized for what they're doing. However, why is it fair for them to be able to make their content, which is just kind of, it's literally the same basis as the opposing side's content, but because it's a different opinion, it's getting the attention and the actual prosperity, whereas if you share any other opinion besides that, it's wrong, which does not make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this coming from someone who I wouldn't say that I lean right. I probably actually lean more left, but that being said, it doesn't mean that I think that people who have those other opinions should be silenced, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, part of what makes society productive and makes us go forward is the discussion, because without the discussion, it just becomes like a dictatorship, and that's not
Yeah,
what we were.
authoritarianism and whatnot.
That's not what we were founded on as Americans. And
Something
it's
that sorry to interrupt, but something that I do think is important that some people I believe have just kind of like lost sight of is I don't believe that it's the left that want like opposing opinion shut down. I think it's more so specifically to the, really hardcore radical liberals specifically, as opposed to just left.
And the same can be said for like the radical right. Like the radical right has
Yeah.
their issues as well. It's not to say it's exclusive to one side. However, I will say that the radical left has a stronger voice in media, both online and like over television.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
for example, those of you who don't know where I'm at, I'm a college student, and I will be listening to conversations on campus, even amongst my peers who I even consider friends. And they're so far left, and they're so strongly rooted in their beliefs that I don't feel like I can have the conversations. Like, I don't feel safe as like their friend, even talking about it. Like, I feel like it will end friendships, even if I'm just saying I have a different opinion. So I just kind of have to keep my mouth shut, and it's kind of sad in today's society that that's what we've come to.
I actually have a very, very similar view to you in that regard because, like, of course, I'm open to say I'm definitely more like libertarian right. So I'm definitely right leaning at this point. I have no shame in saying that, but like I'm almost entirely scared to come out as that at this point for the sheer fact of I don't know how people around me would react to that kind of sentiment. Just not following left, not being like, oh yeah, fuck Trump. Like he's literally Hitler. It's just like,
Yep, we're not friends anymore, even like.
well shit, dude, I'm sorry. But but like even for example, my world drama teacher won't name her, but she exclusively refers to the president as the asshole. And from hearing about some political things on the first day of class, I think that me and one other person in the entire class of probably 30 to 40 of us are right leaning.
It's just not okay to do professionally. Like,
Now, another
just
thing
as
is
a
that
professional job.
My political science teacher has been less political than she has.
the other thing is like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, for example, I know I've had conversations with you, Steven, where it's been like, we can admit, like, we definitely do not agree on a lot of things. Like,
Yeah, just like the
I'm
last time I
definitely more
was
on the left side of the spectrum, whereas he's more on the right side of the spectrum. But like, it never gets to a point where it's like, oh, well, screw you, I'm not gonna be your friend. This is over. Blah blah blah. Like, it doesn't get to a point where even like it's like emotionally a problem. But like, you go into any sort of environment where the basically the vocal majority has the stands. If you share a differing opinion, it feels like you are actually in physical danger, and that's kind of frightening.
Well, it's because of what has kind of started to happen a lot is it's become the M word to liberals, and I've seen it actually start to do that in media. They will legitimately refer to it as the M word. It's the mob mentality a lot of these radical protesters will have, like where if they're either moving away from you actively, they'll like call you mean names and stuff like Steven Crowder again talks about a lot with his Ladder with Crowder, or not Ladder with Crowder, his Change My Mind segments. he'll talk a lot about, especially on the more sensitive topics that he does change my minds about. People would just ride by on bikes or drive by and just shout vulgarities at him, as opposed to sitting down and talking with him.
And it's even like it's not even like I'm leaning on against the side of the vocal majority, but even me as having some of the same opinions as them, I don't feel comfortable talking to them because I have one or two differing opinions, and that shouldn't be right either. Like it shouldn't be like even when I agree with you, I feel like I'm in danger having this discussion with you because of how like strong-minded you are. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with having like a very strong sense of like this is what I believe in. At the same time, it's not. It's more healthy to have at least an open mind to like at least hear what other people have to say and maybe adjust your opinion accordingly. There's nothing wrong with having that, and I would actually argue that it's healthier to have that flexibility within your like reasoning.
Yeah, because if you just hear your opinions all the time, it's just an echo chamber, and you're gonna miss out on a lot of information.
And it's like, and I'm open to that. Like, I have very strong feelings about a lot of things. Like, I have the problem of I'm not agreed with often because, like, you're talking about this left and right or whatever. I'm a monarchist and or communist, whichever group I see fit. And I don't like any sides of these political parties or anything like that. That's just because I don't agree with them. However, I have the thing of if somebody were to talk to me and if somebody were to explain things to me and open up my mind to these things or whatever, I am perfectly willing to see things. I don't have to change my opinion, and nobody should ever expect anybody to change their opinion. But, like, just being open-minded enough to hear the other side or other people out. Nobody's going to, well, I can't say nobody, but, like, people shouldn't force you to change your opinion because what you're thinking is wrong, what you're doing is wrong, that kind of thing. But, like, at least have the option there to, like, hey, you know what, maybe this is a better way. Maybe I've been thinking about this all wrong, or something like that, instead of just, like, this full shutout, this is fucking red versus blue, full-on fucking...
Yeah. I think in some cases, in some extreme cases, there can be just a flat out your way of thinking is wrong, but like that you don't reach that point until you hit like fascism, and it's just like if it's like legitimate fascism, it's like no, you're just pretty much wrong. That's just bad all around.
And I feel like this leads into the next thing I actually want to talk about, which is how comedy is being treated right now in media and online, where you basically are walking on eggshells with both sides.
Crazy.
You're not even allowed to like make jokes about stereotypes anymore. And I get it. Stereotypes can lead to bullying, blah blah blah. Look, I've been bullied my life. I'm multiracial myself. It's not like I'm just pure white. And even if I was pure white, the thing is that even white people are bullied for their race. I mean, do you not hear how many people literally just bring up the whole white privilege thing? Like, look, I get it. There is a lot of that within society of quote unquote white privilege, but it doesn't apply to every single white individual in society. Like saying that is wrong because everyone has a different like point where they were raised, who they were like raised by, all this like there's so many more factors, and beyond that, we are people. We shouldn't be classified by our race and our background if you're not going to take into consideration like how you were raised, who you are as a person.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people of course, a lot of the more radical liberals just like will often take up a stance of saying you can't say that, you can't do that. You're grouping all these people together under one umbrella, or you're stereotyping, and then use such an umbrella term like white privilege, where if you are white, no matter what you experienced, what you grew up with, it applies to you.
And it's like I'm Irish. You know, freaking the Irish certainly are not privileged.
They've been living under the thumb of Britain for so long.
Yeah, they're white though.
The problem is with blanket terms like this, and I stand by this pretty strongly, is the fact it does not take into consideration the individual. It blankets a lot of things. And look, some people are not raised in like the super rich environment because of their race. Yes, I would say typically speaking that those racial stereotypes can be true, but therein lies a problem is that you as like whoever does this within society, whether you're left or right, you're criticizing everyone else for using stereotypes, yet you yourself are using stereotypes in order to come up with these blanket statements that you're beginning with in the first place. It doesn't You can't have it both ways. You can't be a hypocrite like that and self-justify it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there has been started to be a lot of hypocrisy within politics nowadays. Of like a lot of sides just kind of saying, "You can't do that," and then doing it themselves.
And it really sucks because you can't have like a good. The thing is that with comedy, like let's talk even like comedians, you can't have like a completely PG comedian all the time and that be the norm for every single thing, because then we're never tackling the subjects. Because here's the point of comedy. Comedy is supposed to shed lights on these uncomfortable subjects so that we can kind of grow as a society. And if we're always having to dance around these different subjects, these different stereotypes, all these different things, just because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings, we're never going to grow past them. That part of what comedy is delivering that message and allowing us to grow past this and actually evolving as a society. If we just sit back and be like, oh, we can't say this, this is going to hurt someone. Oh, this is going to be the cause of bullying. Look, the fact is that bullies are going to exist no matter what. There's evil in this world. That's how it is. You can't get away from that. The very least we can do is bring attention to it through our humor, through our creativity, and grow from it and show, hey, this isn't all right, but we can make something positive out of this, and there's nothing wrong with that. So why is it being demonized in today's culture is what I would really like to know.
One
Yeah,
thing that
and
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
David.
Okay. There's a lot of things of it's not just and it's not even just political things I've seen that comedy is being attacked about. There's basically anything that is making people uncomfortable. There was a whole thing on comedy versus like rape culture and stuff. And it's like of course like rape is a horrible thing. It's no one should no one should feel that it isn't. And there was a few comedians and things talking about like, hey, this making a rape joke, and it's like, okay, I get it that some people might not like it, because comedy is not for everyone, to some degree. One comedian can't be funny to literally everyone. That's just not going to happen. People have different tastes and different things, and what one person might find distasteful is the funniest joke in the world to someone else. And it's a huge problem of not necessarily censorship that I see in the comedic world, but a lot of times they're scrutinized, and they're worried about not getting as many like sponsors, or not being able to do as many tours and things, because there's this huge controversy behind them now that they've told one of these jokes that's in their skits or something like that. And that's a problem for me, because in my opinion, not necessarily, I don't feel comedy is just a like a free pass. Of course, no matter what you do, you're still talking. So if you're trying to physically be offensive to someone in any way, it's not okay, in my opinion, to just do it under the pretense of comedy. But if you offend somebody unintentionally by telling a joke, it's up to that person who is offended to take a step back and be like, maybe this person wasn't making a direct attack on me.
And
Maybe he was just telling a joke and part of his fucking skit and trying to do his job.
Yeah.
yeah, and to go back on, because this all leads back to what I'm saying is that with comedy and YouTube, like when
Before
you
we
have
go back on it, can I say something real fast?
yeah, no problem.
I think another problem with the entire idea of trying to not offend people, I feel like just too many people get offended at too many things nowadays, and it becomes like it's almost to the point of, I feel that you can't say something without offending somebody in some way. And I just feel like it's comedy. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Like,
And
it's entirely your option to just turn it off. It's like the entire idea behind cyberbullying that I really dislike, because there's something like, the block button for a reason. I know most people use it on Twitter and whatnot to have to not listen to people that have different opinions than them at this point, but it really is a tool that should be used for the right reasons.
And the other thing is that this all leads back to the whole issue with YouTube when it comes to effectively censoring content. David's right. You cannot pander to every single group, and when you're limiting the type of content that you allow through your medium, whether it is to make a stand or not, the fact is that you're an open source site that is supposed to be for everyone to share your opinion. You're not supposed to be taking a stance, and when you take stances like that and you stop certain people from basically giving their views, giving their opinions, you're hindering the growth of the site itself, because you're only pandering really to one opinion. You're not allowing real growth on either end. You can say that YouTube is getting bigger, but it just means that the vocal majority is having more of an impact on the site. It's not allowing for an overall growth in both the content of the whole, and it's not letting the site grow.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. When you pander to one group or you attempt to pander to everyone, you only end up hindering the basically the big picture. Like, one thing I remember, I was listening to this on it was like some news thing the other day, where basically I think it was like Ben and Jerry's or something has like a new ice cream flavor that's specifically politically against Trump or something. Like, it's something like this ice cream flavor, there's like going to be a donation against like Trump's rhetoric or whatever. And the thing is they were saying how, oh, well, isn't that kind of a bad move to do that as a business? And they were all surprised when they found out, no, it's not, because you're even though, yes, you are marginalizing some people, you're still hitting the people who are passionate about what they're passionate about and are going to follow that no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why you can't really hit all people is because there's no real all-encompassing opinion. You can have moderation on both sides, but the fact is you're still going to have like a lenience towards one way or another, and that's not a bad thing. Where it becomes a problem is when you silence the people who are against you and you don't allow discussion to be had. And I think that lies the problem with both comedy and YouTube right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, something that I have is, I don't care if an organization or whatever has a specific political opinion, but it's when they're supposed to be very fair about it, and then they go out and are incredibly biased about it instead, and still claim to be fair. That's when I have a much bigger problem with it.
The other thing is, I don't understand why people are against there being bias. Like, you can have bias even in a professional sense, so long as you at least let people know that there is a bias. Like, I remember we were having a conversation, I don't remember if it was during this podcast or directly before, where you were saying something about your professor, but, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, sharing that in a classroom setting. At least in my opinion, I don't think there is, so long as you at least pre-establish that this is a biased opinion, this isn't facts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that in any setting, whether you're a company, an individual. As long as discussion is happening, people are challenging what the norm is and growing, then, man, that's amazing, because it means we're just moving forward, and that's what we need.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like that more or less covers this first topic pretty strong, so I think we should move on to the next one. Let's talk about Destiny 2. Whew, that game.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Don't you mean Taken King?
Oh, boy howdy.
Taken King 2.
Taken King.
Taken King Extra Special Edition.
Extra
God.
meme sauce.
So, David, given that you've been playing Destiny 2 a little bit more consistently than I have, but you also understand like the background of Destiny and all that. What are your thoughts so far in this new DLC besides just Taken King Part 2, Electric Boogaloo?
Of all Destiny 2 or specifically Forsaken?
I think he said of the expansion.
We have
Of Forsaken specifically?
I mean, you might as well do Forsaken, and if you want to go out to
I could
Destiny,
sum
there's
up
no
the
point
rest
in
of
not.
Destiny 2 in that it's just the regular launch team of Destiny not knowing what they're doing and having the expansion team come in and clean up the launch team's
Yeah.
mess like they do every time.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, the start of Destiny 2 was horrible. Year 1 of Destiny 2 was essentially just like Year 1 of Destiny 1, where it was like none of these features that we wanted and are there, and so it took the launch team to give us back the features that we had in Destiny 1. And so Forsaken though, coming right out of the gate with some big ball drops.
Well, the thing is with Destiny 2 Year 1 and compared to Destiny 1 Year 1, and this is why I stopped playing Destiny 2 Year 1, is that Destiny 1 Year 1, at least it was, while the content was not the base, there was always something fresh, something weird happening. Like, remember, there was like Loot Cave, and then there was like the discovery, like when people actually discovered that Galahorn was like the most broken thing ever in the game.
Yeah.
And
Like the
because-
first time Dur got there and he was selling Galahorn and didn't sell it again for another year.
And he was selling it week 2, and no one picked up on it initially. And I remember that because I was playing during this time, and I was like, this gun's
sneaky
all
on
right.
ya.
But then it's like an explosion of content happened. I think this was like around the time that Vault of Glass got released, and everyone realized, oh crap, that is one of the most busted guns in this game. Oh,
And it literally took Zur like a year to sell it.
Yeah,
Again.
Dude,
He,
don't
like,
worry.
didn't
It's
sell it
Zer's
again.
randomized, we promise.
I hated that they said that. Like, if you're going to BS the community, like, come on, just be honest with us. Tell us you're not going to sell it for just to get people to keep playing. I get it. The content in Destiny 1 was rough. We're not going to sugarcoat that. But at least be straight with us. Come on.
I personally think that part of the thing behind your opinion of Year 1 Destiny 1 being different from Year 1 Destiny 2 is the fact that Destiny was kind of this new breakthrough of an attempt of kind of making a more FPS like MMO-ish style game.
Oh, yeah.
Since nobody had really attempted to do that before. Like the genres were pretty much just totally separate.
I mean,
So-
it was Warframe-ish.
Yeah, but Warframe to a different degree, I'd say, because there's less open world. Like, of course, there's open world now, but it wasn't at the same
remember
time.
what Warframe was when Destiny 1 came out. What Warframe was is nothing like what Warframe is today.
Yeah,
But
that makes
like,
sense.
and especially when a team, especially a new team, is doing new things, there's gonna be a lot of weird stuff going on.
But that's
Example
the-
being like vanilla World of Warcraft, the corrupted blood incident, and
that's-
kiting Lord Kazakh from the blasted lands to Stormwind and slaughtering the
That was the
entire
best, dude.
city. It's
I
like
remember being on the Horde and going into freaking what the hell, some Night Elf area because there was a Night Elf world boss out there. That if you had a few friends and were good enough, you could kite her all the way to Orgrimmar, and she would starfall the entirety of.
I never even heard of that one.
But the thing is like that's the kind of stuff that made Destiny 1 good was the fact that it, like
Oh, yeah.
Year 1 was like buggy, but that was what made it good. The thing is with Destiny 2's Year 1 is it didn't really have that to it because they already had figured out how to make a game. That wasn't really the problem. The problem
Well, yeah,
was that it
that's
was
exactly
just so
what I'm saying.
dead.
It's not so much that there was really more content. It's more so that they were just more inexperienced, so you guys were able to find more shit to fuck around with. Because, like, at this point in BFA and whatnot, and Blizzard, they'd never let a fucking expansion drop where you could slaughter the entire an entire major city, the king, every guard, every NPC, because of just being able to kite a boss. Or the
Yeah.
incident where a paladin could 1v1 that boss.
Well, like, and it's not like this is all just year one of Destiny 1, because and Taken King had its amount and number of problems. I don't know if how much freaking you played, but there was a time. It was only about a week,
I didn't.
but it was the most broken thing that I've ever seen in Destiny, where you had the rapid fire Sunbreaker hammers.
Oh my god, I remember
It
that.
was only about a week, but there was a thing you could do with the Sunbreaker, not the Burning Maul, but just the regular throwing hammers, to where you could glitch it out, and as long as you kept throwing hammers, you would fire probably 3 hammers a second.
Yeah, it
That
was
sounds
a,
amazing.
It was a machine gun. I remember
Yeah.
that. It was so fun.
And it was so broken that there was no boss that could stand up to it. If you brought in enough Sunbreakers, it was just a free kill.
Yeah.
I mean, this was all in Taken King, and the biggest problem I had with Destiny 2 Year 1 was that, like, a lot of the features and a lot of the things that, like, we knew and, they changed in Destiny 1 as the expansions came out and everything. Not talking about the way they changed some of the subclasses that already exist. That's fine. It's a different game. That things need to evolve, whatever. But, am I sad to see Blade Dancers go? Of course I am. I love Blade Dancers. Am I sad to see Sun Singers go? Yes, of course I am. They just took the 2 classes that I played, and those are the 2 that didn't make it. So that's unfortunate. But either way, seeing that Destiny 2 Year 1 came with all of the problems that Destiny 1 Year 1 had was a problem for me. It's like, what? Did you guys not learn anything? Like, I understand this is a launch team, but like, not even Curse of Osiris or Warmind fixed anything in Destiny.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is the biggest issue of it was the fact that the DLCs didn't fix it until Forsaken.
Now, Forsaken though, Forsaken has been fucking awesome.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
It's been so good. Now, granted, it has its problems. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of people I've seen a lot of people complaining about and a lot of these people are because Destiny 2 is on PC. And these are all new players. A lot of people coming from World of Warcraft or checking out Destiny for the first time. Obviously, there's a lot of people like myself and you and whatever who are playing Destiny 2 on PC, even though they all, like, we played Destiny 1 on the console.
Yeah.
But it's the problem of none of these people know what to expect, and so when they go in and they see what it takes to get Sleeper Simulant, and they can't be bothered. It's like, I cannot believe this is how long it takes to do this, and I'm sitting here looking at it like, you can do it in a day.
Done this.
not gonna name any names, but and
I only haven't done it just because I don't care that much. I know you can do it. I've been sitting on 3 out of 5 strikes completed for like a week.
No, and it's more than just that. Like, I think it's also a little odd with Destiny 2, because the thing is with Destiny 1 is we can all agree there was jack shit for content up until Taken King with Destiny 1. So, at least for me, when I was getting back into Destiny 2 as of Forsaken...
Below had a lot for me.
Yeah.
Personally.
The thing is getting back into Destiny 2 as a Forsaken for me was really off-putting, because I'm not used to having that much content in a Destiny game. Like, I've had it with World of Warcraft when I played a little bit more. I had it with things like, I'm trying to think of a really good example, but it's not something that I'm inexperienced with, but it was off-putting because it was Destiny at first. I had to adjust to it, and whether that's a good or a bad thing is up for debate. But now that I've had a chance to, like, really play through a game, play through the whole expansion more or less, I just kind of have to unlock the Dreaming City right now, for me personally. It feels a lot more complete and it's more enjoyable now, but I can definitely see where this is like, wow, this is a lot of BS for something that doesn't feel like it deserves that much BS.
And the thing is, like, it's intimidating to somebody who played Destiny 1, or somebody who just doesn't have a lot of time to play, that whichever, or both. It's really intimidating to try and delve into, especially Forsaken. There's a lot of things, and if you play Destiny 1, you can see the difference, and they actually talked about this freaking at BlizzCon, But they talked about this with that they're taking Destiny 3 into a whole new direction. They're, they want to,
Oh, they actually talked about Destiny 3 at BlizzCon?
yeah.
And I think this is a great segue into the next part, BlizzCon 2018.
Dude, BlizzCon,
boy.
I'm still not over Diablo. I'm still not over it. I'm so upset.
So,
Good.
so here's the thing. I don't know anything really much about the new Diablo, so this is something you guys are going to have to fill me in on, because to me, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, they released a Diablo mobile game. Cool. I mean...
All right, first of all, it's not released yet. Basically, they're going through the opening ceremony, everybody introducing their things. World of Warcraft release was talking about Tides of Vengeance, the 8.1 update that's coming out pretty soon. There's a new raid, there's a new cinematic, Lost Honor, that I personally really enjoyed because it has Sourfang and not Varian. Why can't I remember his face? Anduin, yes, it was an int. Anduin, two of my favorite characters. Two of my favorite characters in the game right now. I love both of them. I think they're both very good characters right now, as they're in their current states. So that was all great. Hearthstone was Hearthstone. What's it called? The card game. They had technical difficulties, so they had to do theirs twice.
Oh boy.
Overwatch announced the new hero. That's pretty cool.
Oh, I saw that.
She
It
does
looks
look cool.
super cool.
She's hot. Like
Only
A1.
that you need.
A1. Although I'm kind of upset that Bob isn't his own hero. Like, let's be honest, we all wanted Bob. And then Diablo comes out, and they were doing I think that they had been kind of boasting a bigger thing this year, so we were all expecting a fucking lot. Mm-hmm. We were like, this shit gonna be good. Are we getting Diablo 4? Are we getting another expansion for Diablo 3? This is gonna be cool.
They literally could have done almost anything else.
They could have come up onto the stage and said, we have nothing, and walked off, and they would have gotten a better response than announcing Diablo Immortal, a mobile game.
So
during I think it was the what's next, there was probably, I believe there was a Q&A. One of the questions was legitimately, someone asked if it was an early April Fool's joke.
Yeah, it's out of season April Fool's joke. It's just like, what are you doing, Blizzard?
So
And they got booed off stage. Mm-hmm. They got booed off of the stage. And something that sorry I cut you off again, Brian, but I'm just gonna go over this and then I'll be done and let you speak. But this always reminds me, I know I've talked to you guys about this before, this really reminds me of something they did, I think it was 2015, when someone asked if they were ever going to allow like classic servers or have official classic servers for vanilla World of Warcraft, because people really, really want that. And one of the devs legitimately told the guy, you think you know what you want, but you don't really want that. And they got a lot of blowback for that. But
They're still getting blowback for that as we're talking about it right
yeah,
now.
as the classic demo is still available to be played.
It's like, do you remember all those bugs in Classic? Yeah, you don't want that again. It's just like, no, we were there. We know what we want. Don't assume to tell us.
Hey, don't worry, David. As it currently is, sharding is in the game.
Yay.
Sharding is bad.
So
just to explain,
from someone who isn't really as big of a fan on the Diablo series, from what I'm understanding from this is it's not the fact of a mobile game being a bad idea for them as much as it is that they should not have announced that at BlizzCon.
No, I think it's a bad idea because it seems more of a cash grab than anything else.
Well, see, for me, it's for me personally, I look at it as like, and I'm not a huge Diablo player, but I'm a fan of the Diablo series and everything, and I've seen it grow, I've seen it change and everything like that.
I love Diablo so much.
Yeah, I am a fan of it, but I'm not a huge player of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a case of